अखण्डमण्डलाकारम् व्याप्तं येन चराचरम् तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्रीविद्या शिववामभागनिलया ह्रीङ्कारमन्त्रोज्ज्वला श्रीचक्राङ्कित बिन्दुमध्यवसति श्रीमत्सभानायिका श्रीमत् षण्मुखविघ्नराजजननी श्रीमत् जगन्मोहिनी मीनाक्षीं प्रणतोऽस्मि सन्ततमहं कारुण्यवारानिधिम् सिन्दूरारुणविग्रहां त्रिनयनां माणिक्यमौलिस्फुरा तारानायकशेखरां स्मितमुखी आपीनवक्षोरुहां पाणिभ्याम् अलिपूर्ण रत्नचषकम् रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रति सौम्यां रत्नघटस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् पराम् अम्बिका। All glories to the Divine Mother, with whose divine grace we are all here at this moment, ready for some wisdom from Tripura Rahasya, the very essence of the Divine Mother. All glories to the great, great, great Master who has made this possible, who is here guiding the speaker and the listener, guiding the speaker with the right words and guiding the listener's antakaran to absorb it perfectly. Narayani Namostate. Also realizing that the speaker and the listener are both one. And this act of speaking and listening is nothing but her play. Narayani Namostate. Narayani Namostate. So as I had mentioned previously, there are three types of satsang. One is tamasic. I wouldn't say Okay, you can say tamasic satsang. In the tamasic satsang, you arrive with your logical mind and you just start questioning everything with your logic, whatever is being said in the satsang. You question and you're like, oh, this can be true, this can be. That's a tamasic satsang, wherein you don't have an ounce of faith and you just arrive to see, let's see what's being told here. Let's see how much the speaker knows. That's a tamasic satsang. And then there is rajasic satsang. In the rajasic satsang, you come, you are engulfed completely by the amazing knowledge that is being imparted by the Guru through a medium, through a speaker. You are you're totally impressed. You feel at peace. You feel elated. You feel like your consciousness has risen to higher planes. And that's the end of that. You feel good, and after the satsang is done, you're back to your normal ways. That's a rajasic satsang. And then there is sattvic satsang. In the sattvic satsang, first of all, you have the firm faith that through a mere medium, like a microphone, a person speaks. Through a mere medium called the speaker, a higher power speaks. The Guru himself guides. You take these words to your heart and you see where in life do you need to apply these teachings and transform yourself. Because as again, I have mentioned it many, many times, the only way of expressing gratitude to your Guru is by transforming yourself. The Guru is complete. He is the king of Vairagya. Vairagya Samrajyada Pujanabhyam. He is the king in the Samrajya, in the kingdom of Vairagya. Such a king doesn't depend on anything material that you can give him. Doesn't depend, he has no dearth of words because he's situated in silence, the very foundation from which the words emerge. So even flowery words of gratitude also don't hold much meaning. So he has no dearth of wealth because he himself is Rajarajeshwari. He has no dearth of words because he's situated in silence, which is the very foundation of words. But if you think about it, why is the Guru there? The Guru is there because he has seen what's on the other side of the wall. He has lived on the other side of the wall to see what a beauty it is. And out of pure compassion, no other motive, out of pure compassion, he comes on this side of the wall and says, hey, why are you suffering? Let me tell you, there's a way out there. Let me guide you to the other way. And that's the only reason Guru is present. So imagine a person who has come on this side is trying to help, and you are telling him, let me give you my fields, let me give you some money, he's least interested. You're holding his hand and you're saying, thank you so much for coming, thank you so much for coming. And he's like, that's enough, now let's go to the other side. You're like, no, that's something I don't want to do, but I just want to thank you. So again, the reason we are all here is to transform the way we think, to transform the way we look at the world, to transform the way we perceive our existence. If these changes are not happening in you, it's time to pause. It's time to take a little break from all these satsangs. It's time to reflect. Without that, this is purely becoming a Rajasic satsang, it is a mere waste of time. So only and only if these satsangs are helping you deal with your self-created misery in a more creative way, then these satsangs are of some help to you. See, I didn't say life's problems. There is no problem in life. It is purely self-created. If you have a blank wall, write it down on there. All my problems are my self-created. There is no problem in the world. There is no problem with people. It's the way you look at them, it's the way you perceive their actions, your own conditioning. So, on that note, this entire Tripura Rahasya is being given again by Dattatreya to Parshuramji Maharaj. Parshuram, who has given up all his punyas and papas. He has situated himself in nothing. He is totally empty. When he arrived, totally empty, not with a burden of how many kshatriyas he has killed, nor with the burden of look how many punyas and look all the punyas and punya lokas I have acquired. When he was devoid of everything, he came to the Guru. So the first requirement, the first preparation we need to do to arrive at a Guru is being empty, being devoid of anything and everything, which is what Parshuramji Maharaj's state was. And slowly, but see, before he gave Jnanakhand, he was given Mahatmya Khand, which is worship of the Divine Mother. Worship of the Divine Mother cleanses that vessel. He first emptied it by giving it all up. Next, he had to cleanse the vessel. That cleansing process is mother's worship. Mother's punya kirti, punya labdha, punya shravana kirtana. By listening about the mother. Mahatmya Khanda. He listened about the mother. Then Charya Khanda. He worshipped the mother. This cleansed the vessel so it could be filled with knowledge. Then comes Jnana Khanda. Without preparation, there is no Jnana. And the preparation is Punya Shravana Kirtana, listening to the glories of truth, listening to Guru Vakya, listening to everything the Guru has to say, reading about whatever Guru has written. Punya Shravana Kirtana. That brings us to the next stage, which is Mother's worship. Mother's worship further cleanses the vessel. And in that vessel that is cleansed and empty, that alone is eligible to get jnana or knowledge. And that is what we saw Dattatreya is doing for Parshuram. After Mahatmya Khand and Charya Khand were done, he is now imparting knowledge. And that too in the simplest way possible. And the simplest way of imparting knowledge is through stories. Because just dry knowledge, if you sit down, it's very hard. But if you incorporate the knowledge into stories and then give it, it's easier. Because a guru knows that truth is simple. Lies are complicated. So everything that a guru does or imparts, he wants it simpler than simplest. It's like, a mother does most of the work, but the child really wants to help out in household chores, right? The mother says, oh, I'll let you help, I'll let you help. The child is very eager to help. The mother does all the preparation. Then she says, okay, now you do this, you do that. Oh, good job. Look what you just did. You just cooked. The child gets a sense of accomplishment. Oh my God, I did it. But in fact, all the preparation, everything was made ready. So when it came to doing whatever the child wanted to do, it just seemed easy and simple. And we all witnessed this during the Navdurga sadhana, how he made everything so simple. And we just did some swaha, and we felt, oh my God, I did such a great Navdurga sadhana. It felt so good. Now imagine trying to read everything and doing it all by yourself. Sometimes you're saying swaha, sometimes you're chanting the mantras, and then putting the offerings. It would be one big mess. So that's what a guru does. He just simplifies everything to, to just few steps, and he says, I've done it all. I've done it all, and I'm serving it to you. Just do this last thing and feel this sense of accomplishment. And why did I do this to you? Because I love you. Which is why a guru-disciple relationship is the only thing that can be compared to is Vatsalya, motherly affection. Such an affection a guru has for his devotees or disciples. So similarly, Dattatraji was serving this good, this intense knowledge to Parshuram with beautiful stories, really nice stories. So in the last story, which is Gandashila Upakhyan, that's what it's called. Dattatraji explained to Parshuram how this entire universe is a manifestation of someone's Sankalp Shakti. Through the medium of that story, Dattatraji Maharaj explained how the Sankalp Shakti, the determination of the small yogi, of the young yogi, was enough to create an entire universe in that rock. Similarly, O Parshuram, this entire creation is the determination or Sankalp Shakti of Paramatma. He just took the Sankalp, and his Sankalp is Satya Sankalp. Satya Kama, Satya Sankalpa. That's the name of Lord Shiva. He is Satya Kama, the one who has the true desire. The truth itself is the desire. Satya Kama, Satya Sankalpa. And his Sankalp, his determination that I will become many. And he himself became the entire creation. His Sankalp Shakti, which is the Divine Mother, is the entire creation. He didn't need raw materials from outside. There is nothing outside of him. He himself extended himself. Tanotu na Shiva Shiva. Tanotu is Vistar Karna. You just extend yourself into this manifestation. Because this story was given to Parshuram because Parshuram said, you're telling me the world is not real. It looks so real to me. I don't know how you're saying that the world is not real. It is just an apparent reality. I don't understand this. For that, Dattatraji had given this story saying, look, this young yogi, through his Sankalp Shakti, through a Siddha Bhavana, that yes, this rock has an entire universe in it. I have no doubt about it. I have no questions about it. I have no questions as how can it be possible? Is it even possible? Is it real? No. No questions, no doubt. This rock has an entire universe in it. So many days is equal to so many days outside. I've set everything without any questions, without any doubts. Hence, an entire universe can exist inside this rock. Similarly, O Parshuram, Paramatma, Maheshwar has set this entire creation in motion through his Sankalpa Shakti. Satya Kama, Satya Sankalpa. That Sankalp Shakti is Tripura Sundari. That Sankalp Shakti flows in the three states and beyond. All the three states are permeated by the presence of his Sankalp Shakti. So this entire creation, Vishwarupa Jagarani, Swapanti Taijasatmika, Supta prajnatmika turiya sarvavastha vivarjita. And as Nancy was mentioning, the first state, second state, third state, fourth state, her presence is permeated. Yet she is beyond all of these states. Sarvavastha vivarjita. So, this story was given to explain this, that Paramatma's Sankalp Shakti is the entire creation. That Sankalp Shakti is Lalita Maha Tripura Sundari. That Sankalp Shakti, from that Sankalp Shakti emerged two other Shaktis, which is Ichha Shakti and Jnana Shakti. Sorry, Kriya Shakti and Jnana Shakti, which is Varahi Devi and Mantrini Devi. But essentially, it is Paramatma, Lord Shiva, and his Sankalp Shakti, which is the Divine Mother. Which is why the entire creation is nothing but a combination of Shiva and Shakti. Shiva and Shakti. Everything is permeated by Paramatma. So today we're starting the next chapter. So after listening to this, okay, with a purified mind, it is so important how they keep mentioning that after listening to this story, Parshuram with a purified mind, which is what we talked, mind is the vessel. With a purified mind, which was purified first by emptying, by the process of emptying, second by worship, with a purified mind. He said, now I understand. I understand that this ocean that I look at has many waves, right? All of these waves have emerged because the ocean exists, the deep waters. The deep waters themselves has become the surface of this ocean. I understand that pure knowledge alone is truth, and that the objects of the world are as unreal as the images reflected in the mirror. And then he says, I also understand that pure consciousness is direct knowledge, right? Pure consciousness alone is the direct knowledge, and pure consciousness is the sun. Going back to the example of the sun within and the light emitting all out. That sun alone, realization of the presence of that within is direct knowledge. The manifestation of the universe is without any other cause. It springs forth spontaneously from the self-existent reality. This I understand, having listened with a purified mind. And this is called Paroksha Jnana, which means intellectually you get it. There are no doubts. You have heard the teachings of the Guru. You have purified your mind by emptying it and by worshipping the truth. Then you have correctly, because your mind is empty and with no preconceived ideas, you have correctly understood the knowledge being imparted to you intellectually. This is where Parshuramji Maharaj was, that he had a pure mind, empty, and then through the worship, he had purified it. And at this point, he had now understood that pure consciousness alone is the direct knowledge. He had understood that it is the I or the sun within that is sustaining the manifestation called my world. And then he says, this I understand, having listened with a purified mind. Consciousness cannot be comprehended through intellectual knowledge because it is pure and unblemished by mind and its modifications. Now, the most important question posed by Parshuram. Of course, all of his questions are great because he was a great disciple. And only for a great disciple like Parshuramji Maharaj would a guru use his pran shakti. He wouldn't just, I'm reminded of a story. A guru was walking into his hut, and this worldly person, extremely logical, arrogant, came and he was screaming from behind, if God is Nirgun Nirakar, if he has no form, why should we worship God? The guru just turned around, he looked at him and he said, you don't need to worship. And he walked inside. The other disciples who witnessed this whole incident, after this person left, went to their guru with folded hands. They asked, all day we are engaged in worship, jap, meditation, anushtan, and you just told that guy that worship is not needed. We are confused. To that, the guru said, for him, worship is not needed because he has no faith. For him, he is not ready for worship, which is why for him, the instruction was not needed. Guru's instructions are very clear and to the point. He wouldn't waste his pran shakti for someone like that person who had concrete ideas that God is Nirgun Nirakar. Worship is not needed. Idol worship is silly. He had concrete ideas. His cup was full. With a full cup, he arrived at the Guru's place, questioning the Guru. To that, the Guru, the wise one of few words, turned around and said, it's not needed. He did not waste his pran shakti explaining, no, let me tell you, there's no need. You're not ready? Get away from here. Don't waste my energy or my time. But Parshuramji Maharaj, you see, all of his questions were answered one by one by the Tatraji. Not just short answers, long, elaborate stories. So, the situation of Parshuramji Maharaj today is he has a purified mind and he understands intellectually with no flaws. There is no doubt, clear-cut understanding of Guru's teachings and a purified mind. Now, he's saying, tell me, this intellectual knowledge, how do I make it my realization? He says consciousness cannot be comprehended through intellectual knowledge because it's pure and unblemished by the mind and its modifications. Now tell me, how is this realization attained? Without which the goal is not attained. What is the nature of liberation? If liberation is attained in this lifetime, does the lifestyle of the liberated one change for the good? How does one behave if he is liberated? These are really good questions. You see, he's asking, how does intellectual knowledge turn into realization, experiential knowledge? Second, he's asking, what is the nature of liberation? Then he's asking, a person who gets liberated, does his lifestyle change for good? And how does one behave if he is liberated? Which is what Arjun had asked. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha, samadhistasya keshava. Sthita dihi kim prabhasheta, kim asita vrajeta kim. Tell me, O Krishna, this sthita prajna person that you're talking about, how does such a person live? How does such a person sit? How does such a person talk? Because Parshuramji is saying, I have seen so many enlightened ones. For example, if you take a tray in front of you, right? The tray, let's say, has different types of desserts on it. And you have knowledge, this is laddu, this is gulab jamun, this is a piece of cake, this is a donut. You have this knowledge, right? Although they're all desserts, they're all sweets, The knowledge is different. Okay, this is this, this is this, this is this, this is this. So the things in the tray are changing, but the knowing is the same, which is the knowledge. Knowledge is the same. Now, let's say I take the tray away, and 10 days later, I present the same tray in front of you. The knowledge that this is laddu, this is gulab jamun, this is piece of cake, this is a donut, it still exists. The knowledge is the same. The things may be changing. So here, Parshuramji Maharaj is questioning, you see, Gurudev, the truth is the same, right? The knowledge is one. The truth is the same. Yet, some people, after attaining that truth, some are in deep meditation forever. Some are involved in the world, doing seva. They are just involved day in and day out doing seva. Some are involved only in imparting this knowledge to disciples. Some go and, Prahladji Maharaj and everyone, they went and ruled kingdoms. Some, like the Samrit Rishi, completely, walking around like mad people. If the knowledge is the same, how are they all acting differently? How are they all taking up different tasks after realization? If the knowledge is the same, why aren't they all the same? If they have attained the highest consciousness, how can they function in the external world? In this diversity, how can I find unity and see that liberation is possible in the midst of external activities? This is the next question. So, without losing what the questions Parshuramji Maharaj is posing, and remember, you have questions till the time you haven't attained the realization. Once you have attained the realization, you are only left with answers. Like Swami says, Bhakti या सिद्धि की पराकाष्ठा ये है कि आपके प्रश्न मिट जाते हैं. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपके पास सारे उत्तर आ जाते हैं, आपके प्रश्न ही मिट जाते हैं. So your questions are dead. He still has questions, but he's being sincere about it. He's saying, I have a purified mind and intellectual knowledge. Now tell me, all these enlightened ones sometimes engage in external activities. Sometimes they are inward, sometimes in meditation, sometimes preaching, sometimes doing seva, sometimes like Samrit. What is why are they so different when truth is one? That's the first question. Second, how can one be in the midst of external activities? So his question is, if they have attained the highest consciousness, how can they function in the external world? In this diversity, how can I find unity and see that liberation is possible in the midst of external activities? Then he goes on to describe the various people doing various kinds of things. How can there be a difference in their behavior if they are all liberated? Are there different states and grades of liberation? Such beautiful questions. He is saying, if truth is one, how are they all acting differently? And oh Gurudev, how am I to see unity in this diversity? You're preaching, truth is one, truth is one, truth is one. But the people who have attained truth are all acting differently. How can there be a difference in their behavior if they really are liberated? Are there different states and grades of liberation? Kindly resolve these conflicts for me. Dattatreya was pleased. You see, a true disciple. And who is a disciple? A disciple is one who can be disciplined. A true disciple is one who takes the teachings to heart and puts them in practice relentlessly. Which is why Dattatreya was pleased when his disciple asked this question. And he says, Parshuram, you are the wise among the wise. you must have had a glimpse of reality. This Sat Vichar, this Sat Buddhi, this Sanmati, these three words, Sat Buddhi, Sanmati, and Sat Vichar, these are the evidence, because we all want proof, we all want evidence. But Dattatreya Maharaj says, if your buddhi, if your intellect is searching the truth, if your mind is looking for truth, if all you think about is the truth, know for a fact, Parshuram, you have been endowed with the grace of the Divine Mother. When the mind starts treading the path of truth, then one deserves the profound grace of Mother Divine. Without her loving grace, who can attain final liberation? So, sitting here, listening to this, know for a fact that not just grace, profound grace of Mother Divine has dawned upon all of us. Dattatreya says, you must have had a glimpse of reality. You are endowed with good thoughts, and thus you deserve to know the truth. Because our favorite question is, am I worthy? Well, I hope at least this one answers. Yes, you're worthy. Yes, you're worthy. If you're not thinking about the truth, if you are not wanting the Divine Mother, if you're not inclined towards her worship, if you're not, when I say her worship, worship of the truth, she is not just a female goddess. She is Satchit Anand. If you're not inclined towards the truth, maybe you're not worthy, because you just want someone to say, yes, you're not worthy. Well, let me say that to you. But if you are attracted towards listening about the truth, about reading about the truth, knowing about the truth, then know that you already have the profound grace of Mother Divine. You deserve to know the truth. The purpose is accomplished when the sadhaka's mind becomes joyous and he constantly contemplates and thus strengthens his creativity. We talked about how the mind, either you tread the path of yoga and you just empty it all out, or you tread the path of bhakti and you fill it all up with just one thought, and which is Mother's name, Paramantra Vibhedini. Para is apart from her mantra. And mantra doesn't mean, oh, I don't have the mantra yet. Mantra is Mother. That's it. If your mind is full of the Divine Mother, she says, the name says, she doesn't allow any other thought to come. Paramantra Vibhedini. She just destroys any other thought except for her thought in a devotee's mind. Paramantra Vibhedini. Knowledge without profound experience is not considered to be true knowledge. Therefore, do not have any doubt, Parshuram. The profound experience of self is constant awareness of I am. And for such a knower, the illusions of the world disappear. Indirect knowledge is like a dream. So he says, the profound experience of self is constant awareness of I am. When you listen to this or when you read this, it might create a doubt. Man, when will I ever get to this stage? How will I get to it? My mind is constantly out and about. And for that, Swami says, Dheere dheere re sakha, dheere sab kuch ho. There is no rush to get somewhere. Let me just situate myself in I am and get there. Remember, getting there is not something we can do. We can just keep preparing. When Mother Divine decides, now is the time, she will give that realization too. That's essence of self-surrender. That Mother, All I know to do is keep my mind pure, purified mind, which is empty of constructs, empty of belief systems, empty of whatever BS you can think of, and is involved in your worship. If you are a Sagun Upasak, you're involved in worship. And worship doesn't mean you're sitting in your puja room, samarpayami, tarpayami, none of that. That is part of the worship. But you're going about the day, carrying out her will. You are open to whatever life presents to you because you know this entire creation is the form of the Divine Mother. Whatever opens up, you engage willingly, joyfully, knowing Prataruthaya sayanam sayanat pratarevatu yat karomi jaganmatah tadeva tava pujanam tadeva tava pujanam. From the moment I wake up till the evening, from evening till the moment I wake up, whatever it is that I do is your worship. Divine Mother is your worship. So either you can do 20 or 30 minutes of worship morning and evening, or you can do 24 hours of worship. It's up to you. And how do you do 24 hours of worship? Engage willfully, joyfully in everything life is presenting. Being equanimous without labeling the task being presented in front of you as I like this, I don't like this. Do it willingly, do it joyfully, stay equanimous. Know that Tavadeva, as much as is required, I will engage in worldly life. As much as is required, I will keep my mind engaged in the world. As much as is required, I will speak. I will live more inside than outside. And that's all there is. It's not like you can be completely living inside. Then you're escaping the Swadharma. Tavadeva, as much as is needed. Engage. But whatever amount of engagement there is, do so willfully and joyfully. So then, Dattatraji says, let me explain this to you through a beautiful story, that how dry intellectual knowledge is not true knowledge. Parshuram, let me explain to you through a story. He says that once upon a time in the kingdom of Videha, there was a wise king named Janak. King Janak is not just Mother Sita's father. There have been many, many, many Janak. And the one specialty or one quality of all the Raja Janaks is they were all self-realized. So in the kingdom of Videha, where the king was Janak, he decided to organize a huge yajna. For this religious ceremony, he invited many pandits, purohits, jnanis, yogis, all the learned people from all the three worlds. And because it was Raja Janak who organized this and invited, all of the people, all of these learned people were ecstatic to go and perform this yajna for Raja Janak because he was a self-realized master himself. It happened that on the same day, water god Varuna also decided to perform the yajna. But all the people preferred to go, all the devas, jnanis, purohits, pandits, all of these people decided to go to King Janak's kingdom instead of going there. So they just turned down the invitation and they said, no, we're going to go over there. So here was King Varuna, who was just sitting a little sad. His son came and said, what happened? How come no one's here to attend the yajna that you have organized? He said, well, such are such is the state of affairs right now. Even the devas have decided to go to King Janak instead of coming to a fellow dev, a fellow god. They have decided to go to King Janak's congregation, and which is why we have no one here to perform our yajna. The son becomes very angry. He says, "Let me teach them a lesson. Let me go over there." So the son of Varun Dev, goes to the congregation, and he is seated there, but he seems very uncomfortable. He keeps getting restless in his seat. When he's constantly getting restless in his seat, Raja Janak poses a question to him saying, "Are you comfortable? Are you okay? You look so restless. Is everything okay?" Then he gets up and he says, "To sit in this congregation, to sit in this assembly of fools, I feel very restless. I feel like I deserve better, and I feel like this place is just a bunch of fools packed together, and I just feel very uncomfortable being here." As soon as all these people, the assembly of people over there, hear these words, they are enraged. They ask him, "How dare you call us fools? We are Vedavetta. We are Jnanis. We are Purohits. We are Pandits. We are Shastravettas. We have learned all these things. How dare you call us a fool?" He says, "Well, if you want to prove, if you want me to prove, I can prove it. Who's ready to have a Shastrarth with me? Who's ready to have an intellectual discussion with me, a debate with me?" So one by one, these people start having debates with him. But before that, he says, "But if you want me to invest my time debating with you, I need for you to promise me that if you lose in this debate, you're going to go drown yourself in the ocean." And they're all excited because the ego is hurt. Once the ego is hurt, you get really excited. So then they're like, "Yes, we'll do that." So one by one, he defeats them all. He defeats them all, and now one by one, they're drowning themselves in the ocean. As soon as they're going in the ocean, Varun Dev is pulling them in his sabha to carry out whatever he wanted to carry out. So the entire assembly is emptied. And then one of the persons who was there, who also gets pulled into the water, is Kahol. Kahol has a son named Ashtavakra. When Ashtavakra finds out that my father was drowned in the ocean, he gets enraged, and he comes straight to Janak Raja's Sabha, the assembly, and he finds Varun's son there. Now he's enraged, and Varun's son is egoistic now. "Oh, look what I just did." And then he challenges. Ashtavakra challenges Varun's son, saying, "You have defeated all these people, right? Now let's see if you can defeat me." Now here is Ashtavakra going at it with Varun's son, and they both go at it for a long time. Finally, Varun's son is defeated. As soon as Varun's son is defeated, he bows down to Ashtavakra and he says, "Listen, the only reason I did this is because of Pitru Bhakti, because of my affection for my father, my respect for my father. Out of that, I did this. I didn't have any intention of insulting these people. The only reason I did this is because my father was performing this ceremony, and I wanted people to be there. But it just so happened that Raja Janak was also performing the same thing, and everyone wanted to come here and no one wanted to come there. That kind of pissed me off." He was like, "Okay, so that's that." Finally, he said, "Now return all the Brahmins. Now, the only way your prayashchit is return all the people who drowned in the ocean and let this go on properly." So finally, all of these people were returned from Varun Dev, from the ocean, back into the Sabha. And when Ashtavakra performed this act, he defeated the one who had defeated the entire assembly. Of course, this immediately created some amount of, not some, huge amounts of egoism in Ashtavakra. He thought, look how great I am. I defeated all of these people in scriptural debate. Look how learned I am. Just when he was thinking that, a woman sage arrived in saffron garb, wearing long hair like the hermits. Due to her yogic accomplishment, she looked perennially young and she was attractive. You see, in Tripura Rahasya, Mother arrives in various forms. We saw one of her form as Hemlekha. And here she arrives as a hermit. You can just imagine this beautiful form of the Divine Mother. A woman sage arrived in saffron garb, wearing long hair like the hermits. Due to her yogic accomplishment, she looked perennially young and she was attractive. She greeted the Brahmins who had taken refuge in her, and after receiving due honor from the king, she consoled them and said, O son of Kahola, which is, she is addressing Ashtavakra now. O son of Kahola, indeed you are very learned. You released the Brahmins by conquering Varuna's son in debate. But I have some questions of my own. Will you answer them honestly, without any nishkapat? Nishkapat is without any pretense. In all honesty, will you answer some questions for me? And then, Ashtavakra said, I have, I have read all of these things. I know. I have read all the scriptures. I know. You can ask me anything. I'll give you an answer. To that, the Divine Mother asked, what is that state which assures immortality? What is that state which, after knowing which, nothing else needs to be known any further? What is that state after attaining to which there are no more desires left? Even the unknowable becomes known. Please, if you know it, tell me. So this was a simple question asked by the yogini. She said, O Ashtavakra, O son of Kahola, tell me, what is that state attaining to which one becomes immortal? Attaining to such a state, there is nothing that is left to know. Attaining that state, one becomes desireless. Even the unknowable becomes knowable in that state. What is that state? If you know it, tell me. And remember, the condition was nishkapat, without any, in your all honesty, you have to answer this question. The son of Kahola, which is Ashtavakra, starts answering. I know that state. You can see, I know. He starts with I know. I know that state. Listen, I will tell you. There is nothing in the world that I do not know. So your question is no problem for me. I have studied all the branches of knowledge in depth. Whatever you ask, I shall answer correctly. Just listen. That truth which you asked about is actually the cause of the universe. It has no beginning, middle, or end. It is not limited by time and space. It is pure, indivisible, and eternal. Someone with pure intellectual knowledge would say that. That truth is the cause of the universe. It has no beginning, middle, or end. It is not limited by time and space. It is pure, indivisible, and eternal. On the basis of that reality, this whole universe appears to exist. You see, his intellectual knowledge is spot on. Everything he's saying, we have read so far. The truth which you asked is the cause of the universe, right? We said Without I, there is no my world. It has no beginning, middle, or end. It is not limited by time and space. It is pure, indivisible, and eternal. On the basis of that reality, this whole universe appears to exist. That truth is like a mirror which supports the image of the city which reflects in it. The city called my world reflects in the mirror of my consciousness. He knows it. None of his statements are wrong. After knowing the mirror, no doubt remains about the images reflected in it. Similarly, after knowing that state of reality, a sadhak attains immortality. So he says, after knowing that state of reality, a sadhak attains immortality. If one has realized the real self, nothing remains unknown. Remember, because she had posed the question, even the unknowable becomes known. What is that state? So he's saying, if one has realized the real self, nothing remains unknown. After knowing the absolute, a person desires nothing. According to the scriptures, the learned sages have come to the final conclusion about the nature of the absolute reality. When he concluded, these were the answers he gave. He said, listen, lady, the reality, the self-existent reality, is the cause of this universe. This universe, with all its various names and forms, is nothing but the image, is like the image appearing on the surface of a mirror. That mirror is the self-existent reality, is the real self. Once you know the mirror, the images will no longer bother you. You know the images only exist because the mirror exists. And he says, once one has realized the self, nothing remains unknown. That person becomes desireless. So, when he concluded, she said, "O son of a sage, your answer is both beautiful and logical." Her words are very careful. Because as we said, the one who has realized the self is his or her consciousness is in the Satyalok, which means any word uttered is nothing but truth. So she says, "O son of a sage, O Ashtavakra, your answer is both beautiful and logical. But you said no one knows that self-existent reality. Therefore, it cannot be known." Previously, he had said, this self-existent reality is not. Like, for example, you have a table in front of you. Jnana, Jnatra, Jneya. Jnatra is that table. Jnana is the knowledge that the table exists. Jnana, Jnatra, Jneya. Jneya is the table, sorry. Jnatra is the process of knowing. So here, before he finished his answer, he said, listen, lady, that self-existent reality is not an object that you can know. It is knowledge itself. It is that knowledge you use to know everything, but you cannot know that knowledge. No one can know that knowledge. It is not like any other outside world. You look at your body and you say, oh, this is my body, which means you have the knowledge of the body. But the very knowledge with which you know the body is the self-existent reality. You cannot know that. And then he started explaining that self-existent reality is the basis of the universe. When one knows that self-existent reality, he becomes desireless. Nothing remains unknown to him. But he started off with saying that self-existent reality cannot be known. It is the very basis which you use to know everything, but that itself cannot be known. So here, The yogini says, you said no one knows that self-existent reality, therefore it cannot be known. At the same time, you said that after knowing it, a sadhak gains immortality. Is this not a contradictory statement? If it cannot be known, then you must admit that you do not know it. Then you do not say truth does not exist. But if it exists and you know it, then you cannot claim it cannot be known. You see, you do not know it directly. It is not direct knowledge. If you know about the nature of the universe and do not know about the nature of the real self, what good is that knowledge? So the yogini is saying, on one hand, Ashtavakra, you're saying that that self-existent reality is pure knowledge. Using that knowledge, you know about the rest of the universe. But that knowledge cannot be known. It's not a Agneya Vastu. It cannot be known. But at the same time, you're saying when a sadhak knows that self-existent reality, he becomes immortal. So the yogini is saying this is contradictory, which means you do not have direct knowledge. And she's saying, if you know about the entire universe, but do not know about the nature of the real self, what good is that knowledge? And that is what Mother's name is Antarmukha Samaradhya Bahirmukha Sudurlabha. You want to know about outside world, about the space, about the galaxies, about multiverses. You want to go far, far, far. Bahirmukh. There is no end. Bahirmukha Sudurlabha. So the yogini is saying, you know about the nature of the universe, but you do not know about the nature of the self. What good is that knowledge? Do you consider yourself defeated when you make such self-contradictory statement in the court of King Janaka? She mentions this because King Janak is a self-realized master. He is the knower of the truth with direct experiential knowledge, self-realized, not self-knower. He's a realized master. After listening to this, Ashtavakra was shaken. He's like, yeah, she's right. The self-existent reality cannot be known. It is not a Gneya Vastu. It is not a thing that can be known because it is the very source of knowing. But without knowing that, I cannot be self-realized. So wait a second, how am I to know this? What am I to do? He was utterly confused. He was disappointed and ashamed. He said, "Oh, great lady, sage, I do not know the answer. I have become your disciple. Please tell me why there seems to be contradictions in the scriptures. I do not speak untruth, for it disturbs my austerities." You see, he could have easily tried to hide his statements by going on and on and on. But he knows that all the tapas is instantly, a huge chunk of tapas, a huge chunk of austerities is destroyed by one untruth word. So he says, I do not speak untruth for it is my austerities. Please tell me why there seems to be contradiction in the scriptures. That great lady was pleased to hear that Ashtavakra did not speak untruth. In front of the entire court, she told him, "Blessed son, for lack of knowing the depth of this knowledge, sadhakas become victims of the evil called attachment." An attachment to what? Attachment to I know. That's what she's saying. The yogini is saying many sadhakas just read and think they know. They become attached to I know. This is not the situation. For a little bit. Komal, please make sure it is still getting recorded. Okay. The secret teaching is not fully explained by the Shastras. So the yogini is saying this is not the subject matter for mere debate. O Ashtavakra, this is not just for mere debate. The secret teaching is not fully explained by the Shastras. In this entire assembly of the learned people, no one has profound knowledge of the truth. It is known to the king and me exclusively. See, the knower of the truth can spot another knower of the truth. So she is boldly describing that this entire assembly of learned people here, no one has profound knowledge of the truth. It is known to the king and me exclusively. Learned people, with the help of logic, have this knowledge in fragments. Mere debate will not reveal it. One must be at the service of a great adept and blessed by the self. So she says, just reading scriptures, you will never come to the truth because the secret teaching is not fully explained by the Shastras. Mere debate will not reveal it. What should one do? One must be at the service of a great adept or the Guru and blessed by the self. Blessed by the self because the self, as the Antaryami, watches everything. The self knows how much you are burning for truth. You could be saying words like, I'm burning for the mother, I want the mother, but the Antaryami knows the truth, which is why the blessings of the self and the service of a guru. Service of a guru doesn't mean you go live for the guru, you live with the guru, start washing his clothes, cleaning his house, and all that. Service of the guru is to perform your swadharma, knowing that Shri Guru Sarva Karana Bhuta Shakti, that Guru himself is the reason everything is unfolding in my life, and I'm engaging willfully and joyfully. O son of a saint, be attentive. If the mind has not attained the state of tranquility and one-pointedness, there will be no gain. So you see, mind needs two qualities. Tranquility, which means you're not just thrown hither-thither by the happenings of the world. It is tranquil most of the time. Second, it is one-pointed, which means it is not dispersed in the happenings of the world. It is in one place, steady, still, and watching the show. You see, you could be, whatever is in front of you, you could be observing it. Go ahead, observe whatever there is in front of you. You see, the mind kicks in. It says, oh, I see this, I see this. It starts defining. Now switch. Instead of observing, say, I'll be a witness and let me see what's around me. Just be a witness. You see, the mind is quiet, you are still, and you're one pointed. That one pointed mind is just a witness. Observing kicks in the mind again. It says, I observe this, I observe that, I see this, I see that. As a witness, you see it all, yet you're detached. O son of a saint, be attentive. If the mind has not attained the state of tranquility and one-pointedness, there will be no gain. Unless this profound science is fully assimilated by your inner being, your listening to the scriptures even 1,000 times will be of no use. And this is where she says about Sattvic Satsang, fully assimilated by your inner being. Let's say Today, you learn some lesson from reading one of the posts of Swami. You say, okay, this is what. You practice it, you put it into practice 2, 3, 4 times. And then you just forget about that teaching because now it is integrated in your system. You don't need to remind yourself, okay, when this happens, I need to be compassionate. You don't need any of that. You learn them all and then you forget them all because the goal is to keep the mind empty. Once you learn intellectually his teachings, you put it into practice a couple of times, it is part of you now. You don't need to go back and revise and revise. This is what she's saying, this profound science, unless it is fully assimilated by your inner being, your listening to the scriptures even 1,000 times will be of no use. And she gives an example. If someone forgets he's wearing a necklace and presumes that it has been stolen, he suffers. Even if someone else tells him, hey, you're wearing it, he does not see it. Then no matter how intense his desire to find it, he will not find it. The other person is telling him, it's in your neck, look. No, I don't want to look. Oh my God, my necklace is lost. My necklace is lost. No one can help such a person. Likewise, O son of a learned one, even after listening one pointedly to a description of Atman and its nature, if one does not turn his mind inward, how can he expect to realize Atman within? Just this is the Rajasic Satsang. You're listening with utmost attention to the description of Atman and its nature. But if you don't turn your mind inward, how can you expect to realize Atman within? Then she gives further examples of a lamp. She says a lamp might shed its light around itself, but it cannot illuminate the space beneath it. The sun does not depend on illumination from any other object because the sun is self-illumined. Then she says Tripura is this supreme consciousness, the source of all. Her self-existent illumination illumines all. If illumination is not her nature, then who has the power of illumination? You see the Deepak and the Jyoti, the lamp and the light of the lamp, the sun and the light of the sun. If the sun is Paramatma, the light is the Divine Mother. If the Deepak is Paramatma, then the Jyoti is Divine Mother. Her very nature is to move and illumine. So the sun, called the I within, illuminates the entire my world. I could either observe and be lost in observing, or I could be a witness. As a witness, I'm still. I'm not exerting to be still. I'm not exerting to be one pointed. I'm not exerting to concentrate. I just am. Without profound introspection, even the most learned scholars cannot comprehend this deepest knowledge. That is why throughout life they remain in the darkness of ignorance. Without turning their minds inwards, even great learned men cannot fathom this mystery. That is why they remain caught in the cycle of birth and death. Unless the mind is brought to a state of stillness, it is not possible to attain introspection. For example, right now, let's just again, whatever is in front of you, observe in as much detail as possible. Observe everything. You see, the mind kicks in. It says, I see a picture of Swami. I see this. I see a little bells. I see a diya. Now, switch the mode to just being a witness. This is the stillness. Of course, this stillness slips away. But that is all the practices. All day, as many times as you can, bring your stance to a witness, from an observer, from an engager, the one who gets engaged in whatever one observes. Transform your stance to a witness many, many times for short periods during the day. Before you know it, this practice will slowly start making you a silent witness. Your reactions, your urge, the need to get engaged in the world will slowly die down. Don't just practice it twice a day. Just play with it. Play being a silent witness. Let me see what's going on. Let me just be a witness. Let me see what it's like to be in that fourth state. I'm neither in the waking state because I'm not observing. I'm obviously not dreaming. Neither am I in the deep sleep. Where am I? I'm in that fourth state. Just a witness. Let me see how it's like. Play with it. Don't become a serious seeker. Just play with it. Unless the mind is brought to a state of stillness, it is not possible to attain introspection. And unless introspection is fully developed, self-realization is not possible. The mind should first attain desirelessness. Then it can penetrate into deeper levels. Desire arises from the presence of, I know what's good for me. I know what's right for me. Let me entertain this one desire. I want this to happen. It's a desire. Because somewhere I believe I know what's right for me. If you truly come to a stage, I don't know what's right for me, then you say, I better not have a desire. Because let's say I have a desire, I want to get married, I want to get married, I want to get married. Finally, I got married, although maybe it was not the best thing for me, and now I'm suffering. I'm just joking, but every desire that one has comes with strings attached. When you are desireless, the higher self, the higher good, the higher power knows what's best for you, what's best that can take you in the simplest shortcut way. But no, we want to have desires. Those desires only create a long cut. Renounce all desires and strengthen only the one desire that helps in self-surrender. Oh, Mother, I don't know what's good for me. I don't know my past lifetimes. I don't know what lies ahead in my future. I don't know. That's the only thing I know, that I don't know. I surrender. You, yatha yogyam tatha kuru. Whatever you think is right, let it all happen. My mind, Mother, is uncultivated. It keeps blabbering. I want this, I want. Don't listen to it. Ignore my mind. You know what's right for me. Don't listen to my mind. Let it blabber. You give me what you think is right. Gain freedom. When you remember that state, then you will know that absolute reality is beyond. Yet, it can be attained. After knowing that absolute reality, you will attain the highest state of consciousness. Now I have explained all the secrets, O son of sage. I bid goodbye to you. You see, Satyavachan, Satyavrati, people of few words. She's like, I'm done with you. I ain't got any more time to waste on you. I'm leaving. Let me go now. By listening only once to the secret of this knowledge, you cannot know the truth, O Ashtavakra. She is so clear. She says, let me go now. But remember, by listening only once to the secret of this knowledge, you cannot know the truth. King Janak, the wisest of the wise, will impart this knowledge to you. You can ask questions to remove your doubts, and the king will dispel your ignorance. Thus she spoke and rose from her seat. She vanished suddenly, like a wind disperses the clouds. Dattatreya said, O Parshuram, I have already given you the method of realizing the self. And what is it? Empty your mind, first step. Fill it up with devotion, second step, and worship. Third, make your mind one-pointed. Doesn't mean you sit in meditation 1,000 hours or whatever. That also is a way. Make your mind one-pointed while carrying out worldly activities, tavadeva. As much as is needed, be immersed. Practice the being a witness many, many, many times during the day. O Parshuram, I've already given you the method of self, realizing the self. With this, he ended the story. But of course, Parshuram is such a great disciple. He says, tell me in detail, how did King Janak take the intellectual knowledge of Ashtavakra to experiential knowledge of truth? Explain to me, what all did he impart? What all did he say? What are the questions Ashtavakra asked? And how did they eventually arrive to the truth? How did Ashtavakra realize his self? And that we'll do it in the next session. So I'm done talking. So if anyone has anything to add, you will have to probably message Komal. Or just raise your hand and she can just unmute you. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. Okay, so we have a question here. I'm confused about the difference between being an observer and a witness, especially to objects. Both seem the same. They seem the same, they're not. Okay, let us, for example, I'm sitting in front of my puja graha, okay, my altar. As an observer, when I look, I see, oh, this is a beautiful altar. There is a vigraha of the Divine Mother. She's wearing a beautiful green sari. She has jewelry. I have a picture of my Swami here. I have a Shri Chakra here. This is observing, right? I'm observing what's in this altar in front of me. As an observer, my mind has kicked in and it says, it gives me the list of all the names and forms that I see in front of me. This is an altar. It is dark brown in color. It has bells on it. It has a vigraha of the Divine Mother. This is observing. Now, as a silent witness, I'm just not naming anything. I'm just letting the altar be the way it is. And I just am. And as I said, as the yogini said, this is not something you're just going to get it. Practice, play with it. Remember, no serious seeker business here. Practice and play with it. Oh, let me see if I can be a witness here. Let me see what's going on. Let me fluff around. Let me see. What is this? Witness, observer. What am I doing? Observing. Play with it. The more you are relaxed about it, the sooner you'll get what's the difference between an observer and witness.
Can I add to it with just one
Please
example?
do. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay, I'll just give a very simple example. It might just, make it playful also. I was doing, I have been practicing this for a very, very long time, so I get into it easily. Rather, I slip into it. Um, I had dishes to do. I have dishes to do every day. Since the lockdown, the maids are not coming. Okay, now one way is the sink is full of dishes. The kadhai has, I forgot to pour water over it, so it has hardened. Oh, I have to scrub it hard. I am looking at it. This is observing. Now, what is happening? The mind is processing the scene, and while it is processing, without your knowing, it will slip into the uh, 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 consequences of the information being processed in the mind. Oh, I have to do it for so long, and then I will sweat and it will take longer time. My back will ache. I have to keep standing for such a long time, and then I have to swab it. This is all going to happen, and one big scene of tiredness will occur in the mind. Now, from being a simple observer, you've gone down the route of processing the mind's observation and creating thoughts, and those thoughts creating feelings, feelings creating emotions, emotions creating a scene, and all of this is energy turning into a different what to say state altogether. Now, if you're just witnessing, okay, there are utensils, the sink is full. That's the scene. That's it. I got to wash it. Simple. There is no processing of this information. Just do what is needed to do. It is what it is. This is being a witness. You're not जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना वो बाल की खाल नहीं निकालने बैठ रहे. You're not doing उधेड़ बुन with the scene. It is what it is. This now applies to everything that keeps happening the whole day. This lockdown will get over. Tomorrow you are in the middle of a traffic jam. Oh, how long will I take to get out of this? It's not moving. I don't like all this. I'm feeling restless. What to do? I'm getting late. Blah, 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 blah. The mind has started processing the scene, and it is getting entangled with the processing of the scene. Okay, it is what it is. I'm stuck in the middle of a jam. I'm sitting in a car. I can't move forward. I can't move backward. I just see it. It is what it is. I'm just sitting. You practice it for a very long time. I'm saying it from my own experience. My mind, it simply becomes thoughtless. Nothing happens in the mind because when you train it to just witnessing, it will not, without your permission, start processing information. So maybe you actually start playing with it. I'm muting myself now.
Thank you, Mansi. Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay, no questions. All right, we will end the meeting here. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ओम्। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। नारायणी नमोस्तुते. Komal, please stop the recording.